Thank you, Cathaoirleach. The current unemployment crisis is the worst in the history of the state, and there is no prospect that job losses will stop in the near future, or job hemorrhaging will stop either, unless the government gets its act together, and it must do so now and in an unequivocal fashion. We need innovative ideas and new initiatives. The old solutions are packed into packaging that will not suffice in the current economic climate. Some commentators have suggested that the current crisis is not as bad as what we had to cope with in the 1980s. They are wrong, and very wrong, because in the 1980s we had a halt to the modest economic growth of the late 70s, and most people had not experienced prosperity. It was also possible for the unemployed to emigrate, as indeed many of our families did, to as the UK and the USA were growing rapidly. Now, I remember somebody saying at that time we couldn't all live on a small island, but we may soon well find out that we can all live on this island if unemployment continues to rise and the unemployed see no prospect of finding work at home or abroad. The government in its current state of panic is trying to blame the global recession for all our problems, but most people understand that the policies pursued by Fianna Fáil-led governments over the past decade have left us ill-prepared for the current crisis. I don't wish to bore you with economic theory, but for every first-year student of economics learns that in managing the economy, government policy should be counter-cyclical. That means that in a boom period, the government dampens the boom by controlling spending and, if necessary, increasing taxation to pay for essential services. Since the days of Charlie McCreevy, the policy of "if I have it, I spent it" resulted in government fuelling the boom, and now that the boom is over, the cupboard is almost bare, and the few bones in it must be used to prop up the banks, whose criminally irresponsible lending has contributed so much to the current crisis. At a time when banks should be lending to support existing and new business, they are unwilling to do so, as they hoard capital in order to deal with the crisis caused by irresponsible lending. And Minister, let's look at the situation. The Small Firms Association there recently at their award. A lot of experiences of their members dealing with banks. Many of them are now on the brink because of lack of credit. It's the lifeblood of business. Small and medium-sized enterprise, Minister, are the engine room of the economy of this country, and we cannot emphasise this enough. Credit is not being made available to them. Worse still, some of the banks are refusing to pass on reductions in interest rates. So now we have the worst of all options. Overdrafts being reviewed very critically, maybe subject to reductions. Difficult to get any new loan facilities to pump in and try and get new ideas off the ground. And the question is that small businesses are asking me and all my colleagues here to focus upon and to ask you, Ministers, whether are the benefits of the $7 billion recapitalisation plan? Who's benefiting from that? Because it's not filtering down to those small businesses who are crucial to the economic well-being of this country and to so many places, particularly across rural Ireland. The 3 and 4 and 5 jobs that they give out are absolutely of paramount importance to ensuring the sustainability and viability of so many families in this country. People, entrepreneurs who have innovative ideas, are not getting a chance to get off the ground. And Deputy Shortall is right. We need to change the ideas. Start-up grants. Let's cut out the nonsense. They were there. Some of the grants are there as old as Methuselah. They're there. They have not been amended to reflect the new, challenging economic environment and situation we're in. They were all right when the boom was going and when everything was floating. They're no good now. And I think we must change that. So the small businesses which create 5 or 6 jobs, they mean something. Or are we aware that these type of industries, and they are, be they in the manufacturing, technology, science or food, or indeed retail areas, are the very ones that are soundly based. Many of them are family operated and founded by families, and they will fight to the very end to survive. There's no red carpets rolled out for them. They actually started out with nothing. Very often with hard work, husband and wife or partners, they're getting together, generating it up, and we have a multiplicative process, soundly based. Minister, we must get those, because they're the people that will get us out of this recession. They will save this country, and that's very important in that regard. Because of the crisis in public finances, we cannot engage in the stimulating measures that other small open economies in the EU can use to help weather the current crisis. Indeed, the measures to be introduced in our next mini-budget may worsen unemployment through reducing disposable income and demand for labour. And we have to see that and contrast it with the UK and Northern Ireland, where the government is in a position to reduce taxes to stimulate the economy. And this has, we all know about the huge influx and cross-border shopping, which is obviously causing a further loss of tax revenue and jobs here. Now, I'm aware that the government has to give priority to the fiscal crisis, but it seems that apart from warning us about the increase in unemployment, they seem to have no strategy to deal with it. Hundreds of jobs have been lost weekly in the construction industry, yet the school building programme for which money has already been allocated is incredibly slow, and thousands of pupils, 45,000, are language and prefabs, with the Department of Education taking years to even approve a new school, don't mind build it. So that's the problem. Now, Minister, we have put forward a number of ideas, and we would like, it's a significant and traumatic experience for anyone to be told that the services that are no longer required, in other words, that you're being made redundant. So behind all those statistics, the 353,000, there are human beings, their families, their dependents, and by Goris, it's the most sickening thing. I remember back in the 60s and that when my own father became unemployed. We were young kids, 12 and 14, we had a realisation. But the younger didn't realise. And it's an awful trauma to be visited. And jobs are disappearing at the rate of greater than 1,000 a week. And we know, as I says, 353,000 people who find themselves standing in dole queues, queuing up in inclement weather, in conditions and outside of dole queues, offices, and not able to accommodate them. Now, 200,000 people have lost their jobs, Minister, since the last general election. And that's 4 billion. You are looking for 4.5 billion. We have them. They're statistics. 200,000 are costing the state 4 billion. And I think that's a huge sum of money. And that's in terms of social welfare benefits and income tax forgone, before the cost of secondary benefits and, of course, the loss of spending power in the economy as well. And the loss of spending power has been experienced at every retail shop across the country. It in itself leading to many of these small businesses, as I said, having to shed employment. Many family-run businesses, and we have up to 250,000 those small businesses, which provide up to 750,000 jobs. So in the economy, so we have to actually try and help those people. Now, Minister, we have suggested a number of things, but I want to say one thing. We have a problem here in relation to entrepreneurship policy. And I mean, your own report, the 2007B report towards development and entrepreneurship policy. We have too many agencies and bodies and ministers and your department and everyone else. You are investing in programmes that aim to develop and encourage small business and entrepreneurship. I can't deny that. But we have listened. The Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, supporting entrepreneurs and start-up business through a range of bodies, CEBs, all like that, community enterprise, business innovation. Department of Education and Science, responsible for delivery of entrepreneurship, education and training within the education system. Department of Community, Rural and Gaelic Affairs, responsible for Udras Gaelic, the LEADER programme and area partnerships. The Department of Arts, Sports and Tourism, responsible to Fáilte Ireland for development tourism and enterprise. The Department of Justice, Equality and Rural Reform, responsible for regulating residence and work visas for third country citizens and the issue of business permission to these individuals. For non-nationals from outside the EU, EEA area. Business permission, maybe sought and granted. The Department of Finance responsible for overseeing the fiscal incentive for enterprise establishment and equity investments, which is the seed capital scheme and the business expansion scheme. Now, Minister, let's get our act together. We lack an explicit entrepreneurship policy. We don't have an explicit or articulated policy directed at ministerial level. This should be all your responsibility. One department running the show. Get rid of all those, pull them in, get them into one show there. Directed at ministerial level. There's no overarching forum. You're all over the shop here. You shouldn't have to be running from Billy to Jack to Joan and Mary to try and find out what's going on. So we have to have that, to drive policy and initiatives in a coherent manner. Now, that was recommended in your own report on forfeits in 2007, and nothing has been delivered. And as it says, we have a number of government departments responsible for delivering all those various initiatives that impact upon entrepreneurs and the environment in which they operate. So the policy is fragmented, as I say, across all the departments, all the agencies. Let's pull the whole thing together. It's a new, challenging situation. We must meet the challenge. Let's get all those things. Minister, that's a positive suggestion. That's not airy-fairy stuff. That is absolutely here and now. Minister, there's another few ideas I want to give you.
Excuse me, Deputy, just to remind you gently that 17 minutes only remains in the slot.
Well, I have 2 minutes. The back to education allowance. Minister, back to work allowance. VETAs. Lift them cap. Get rid of all those eligibility conditions. If education is the way forward, get people into the DITs. And I've suggested to you with the SR Technic apprentices, bring forward the theory thing, get them into the DITs, Let them do their 9 months in there. In 9 months' time, hopefully the corner will be turned and we'll have somebody in the aviation sector, as Deputy Bruton has articulated and argued so very well, and Deputy Cost on all roads to the north side. Let's give those an opportunity of getting that apprenticeship. We need those young people, aeronautics technicians and engineers for the future. Let's bring the theory exam. You might as well pay them, and you'll pay your 300,000. That's what it'll cost. DIT is willing and ready to facilitate them. I know you're going to try, and I know you're on top of this. Social welfare payments, Minister. If I'm getting €300 on unemployment or job seekers allowance, whatever you call those bloody things, too many names to them. But anyhow, why not give that €300 to an employer and make sure that he pays another €300 to bring him up to make sure he pays above the minimum wage, he or she. And if there's a job there that might generate something, some activity, let's be innovative. Let's be flexible. This is a new situation. Minister, you cannot run a show and supply a service for €37,500. The minute you get to that, you're into the VAT. You need to expand that up to 60, 65,000, Minister. The same with the supply of goods, 75. Get that up to 120. Look, you'll strangle the place with regulation. VAT. And you have all sorts of things there with VAT. You need a bookkeeper a half day a week. Another 50 or 60 euros gone out. I'm telling you for what I know, and I know those things will work. And expand the CE schemes, you're right, and the job initiatives. Those schemes should be expanded. We're in the county enterprise boards are more out, 10 jobs. Look, they're between the Enterprise Ireland and the FDI with IDA. Let's expand their role, Minister. They have tremendous opportunities. 10 jobs. If they want to get 15 jobs, we're supposed to be looking at that. We're spending too much time examining things. Let's put them into action, Minister, and you will certainly think. And I think, look, start-up grants. We need a wider range, more discretion. They're too restrictive, too delimited, too managing eligibility conditions, and we have them changed to reflect or meet the current situation. Minister, those are a few ideas. People are always saying the Labour Party has no ideas. We have a lot of positive ideas. We're putting them forward to you tonight, and let's act upon them so that we get our people back to work.